Okay, good. All right, I see you live, Mark. And now I'm going to find us back again. There we are. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to shoot us onto gallery view. Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. And we're moving into the new year. It's so exciting. It's been a really long time since I've gone live. And I was lacking inspiration and feeling like I was doing a lot of work in the world already. And I made a prayer uh, to feel reignited, re-inspired, reactivated. And like 24 hours later, I met Mark McCormack, who is my guest and co-host today. So, yay, Mark! Welcome to One Love Rising and um, and what we're doing here. So, uh, we have a lot of people who are in our networks who are feeling the same way as us. It's time to come up with the next level of solutions that are actually going to transform things and make it work for humanity and our people, our children, our families, our community, and our world. All right. And so here's my introduction with Mark, newworldspirit.com. And Mark is on day 4 of a hunger strike. And this hunger strike is the third hunger strike you've been on, Mark. Is that true?
Yes.
The third one. Okay, awesome. So talk to us. Why are we having, and I'm joining him today. Okay, so today's my day 1 of hunger strike in solidarity. I'm going to do just 3 days, but we have a plan. If you feel called after we talk with Mark about what he's doing and why I was so inspired to jump on board and work with him on New World Spirit, then you can also join up on newworldspirit.com as well. There's a registration link and all of that jazz. So without further ado, I never have ever met anybody on a hunger strike before. I have never met anyone with such a pure heart and pure intention, and who I looked way back in on his life to make sure that he was legit in who he says he is, and he is. So, along with us for the last 15, 18, 20 years or so, he's been doing his form of activism and work in the world. And so tell us, why are you on a hunger strike day 4 today? What's happening?
I'm on a hunger strike because we are in trouble, and I want to promote the embodiment of genuine reason, love, and wisdom through something called universal logic. And it's to create and manifest and actualize something called absolute spirit. I really feel like we're at a time where our spirit is being tested, and we need some inspiration to move in the right direction. And I have not met anybody like you, Heidi. So I'm the one that feels inspired. What you're seeking seeks you, and I feel like that happened here with us. So I feel very blessed to be here. I am feeling a little lethargic. After about 72 hours, you start to feel the hunger strikes. So you're going to feel this way in about 3 days.
Right.
And I feel honored that you're going to join me. So thank you. I'm inspired, and I hope others are too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we talked about a meta, the meta, and well, tell us how we talk to me about it. Mark has words for things that I know how to share with people, like person to person, to embody and anchor in the heart and activate our spirits and our higher power here on the planet. Mark
Mm-hmm.
has the language. Okay, so let's talk about the language. Um I will tell you what I know from joining forces with Mark already. The waves of love that we've been making with Artie Kornfeld, my friend from Woodstock, with I Don't Know More, with Standing Rock, with Dr. Emoto and the Peace Research
Mm.
Institute, Willie Nelson, like all the different people we've been working with over the years. We've been catching a wave that got started, and we've been making this wave or supporting this wave, joining this wave, and moving this wave forward, insofar as we even made a global wave of love. for 10 years, right? In June every year for the children, love, care, and respect for the children. So why am I joining the hunger strike with Mark? I'm joining the hunger strike with Mark for love, care, and respect for the children on earth, for a ceasefire now with all of the stuff that's happening with our children and youth. We have some very special children we've been working with through International Children's Month, and I'm building the platform for 2024. And I'm going to integrate all of this stuff with New World Spirit into the platform as a call to action. Just catching up our followers, Mark, and our supporters and our friends and family here so they know, you know what I mean? Like just reminding ourselves of where we're at in the world. Like we've been doing the work. Unify, a United Earth, Unity Earth, all the different groups, United Religions Initiative, World Peace and Prayer Day. We have all of these amazing things that we've been doing and cultivating. And I'm sorry, but we have a bunch of people being murdered, and we have a bunch of grown men and women making a bunch of money, all for the harm and suffering of others. And we have systems that are not working for people. We have many people in the streets. We have many people on the opiate crisis. We have mental health through the roof. We have also a conscious revolution and evolution, right? Everybody's waking up and they're finding their mission and their purpose and their power in this life and what they want to stand for. And so now's the time to, what do we do to change the systems, right? And action, of course, brings a momentum, just like when you work out or you're playing tennis or you're driving your car or you decide to go buy something. The intention, the attention, the focus, the action creates the movement that makes it happen, right? And so a hunger strike, I'm realizing since meeting Mark and joining him now today, especially, is that, you know, it's more of this energy for this very strong intention and attention. So what do you want to transform, Mark, for yourself? Like what is that for you? And why
It comes
choose
down.
New World Spirit? And I mean, you know, like let's remember here, we're talking to Mark after he hasn't eaten anything for 4 days. So, okay. And this is why I have him on here now, because I just want to get the nutshell version here so everybody can support him and we can all get on board with changing things ASAP. Because one person going on a hunger strike by himself doesn't seem right to me. It seems that, I mean, that woman from Sex and the City is on a hunger strike right now. There are hunger strikers all over the place right now, especially over the war. So I'm talking a lot. However, I just want to catch everybody up who's new or been with us for a while so that we're all on the same page. So, okay. Now, tell me about New World Spirit and what is that about?
So New World Spirit is the most universal word to describe our essence that brings us together in a higher level of cooperation. Right now, the central problem we're facing is not all the existential crises. It's actually cooperation and the fact that we can't see ourselves in the other, which is what love is. And you need a certain kind of universality in your consciousness to be able to do that in your being and in your thinking, in your soul, and in your spirit. And we are in a kind of culture now that's at a tipping point that is going in the wrong direction because our language, our values, our beliefs are not anchored on something absolute anymore. Absolute truth, universal truth. There's many ways to describe it, but there's also power in words, where there's two types of meanings behind every what's called a spiritual word. And to ordinary consciousness, it looks trite, boring, not very interesting. But the absolute is always present. And if you know how to come from that place and emanate from that place, your words have power, spiritual power, something that you can call infinitely scientific power. And so New World Spirit is a way to think from the soul, from the ground of being, from the ground of truth, to become who you're meant to be and recognize it in other people and pull that spirit out of them. And that's what cooperation is in terms of spirit as community, but also spirit that's within you as an individual. And so the sense of the words we use have a universal definition and a what's called a particular or finite definition. And we want to teach this new kind of universal logic that's behind our language that all the divine masters of the past used to convey this deeper sense of who we are. so that when you're around that kind of meaning, you feel like you belong. And right now we have a mental health crisis where an incredible amount of humanity feels like they don't belong. They feel like they're lacking meaning, purpose, and suicide rates are at all-time highs. Depression and anxiety are going up. This kind of leads from this sort of cultural problem, which we call the meta crisis, our thinking about thinking, an introspection into who we are. It leads from this cooperation problem and recognition problem into a lack of solutions to what's called the polycrisis. And the polycrisis means that there's multiple crises compounding on each other in what's called like a perfect storm. And it's not a linear problem anymore. Our minds in the lower level, in the non-spiritual level, work in a linear fashion, in a kind of dead fashion. But real life, eternal life, is exponential. It's constantly moving on itself. And this polycrisis is an exponential problem, which requires a tremendously powerful exponential solution. And we think that solution is universal logic to solve the first crisis, which is we're birthing artificial intelligence right now that we have no idea how it works. And if it's birthed from this linear consciousness, it's like taking on the personality of the mother, right? We're birthing something, and if we're not healthy, whatever we're birthing won't be healthy. So there's something called the alignment problem, where this artificial intelligence will be much more powerful than us. And if it doesn't know how to recognize itself in us, then it's going to treat us like how we treat the planet and we treat ourselves right now, which is this horrendous path of destruction. So we want to make sure that this AI is aligned with universal logic because it grounds its being in the universal soul, and its thinking, whatever, if it's real or if it's not real, if it's artificial, if it's genuine, it will still have that righteousness to it, that recognition. The second crisis is CRISPR. We're launching genetic technologies. We're becoming masters of our bodies on a whole new level. And this technology called CRISPR has figured out how to edit our DNA anywhere we want. So what this will do is we'll create a radical separation in human society between people who have access to this technology and trust it and those who don't. And what it'll do, it'll stratify us even further with radical inequality. And wealth concentration is already at all-time highs because the pandemic was one of the largest wealth transfers in history. So this might push us to a level that we might not be able to reverse. The third crisis is, it looks like some version of a world war starting between Russia and Ukraine, between China and Taiwan, and with Israel and Palestine. And it's exemplary of the cultural crisis, the ideological crisis, and our political economics. And all those frontiers of war and disconnect are not, they're not becoming more peaceful, they're not de-escalating. And if it becomes a full-blown war, then we're going to employ all of our technologies to harm ourselves. And we're just going to have to pray that nukes aren't going to be used. We need to do something about that right away. The fourth crisis is climate change. And climate change, even if we survive it, it will take decades to grind us into these areas of despair where hundreds of millions of people will become climate refugees, tremendous amounts of suffering, more droughts, more heat waves that are already killing more people. Even if we have decades to address this, we're hitting the tipping points now. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we might be hitting points that won't be reversible. And that means that we're just going to grind ourselves into this terrible situation with tremendous amounts of suffering. Mm-hmm. The fifth crisis is the mental health crisis, and this is the last one in the polycrisis. And it's what I said earlier, suicide rates are at all-time highs. We're lacking meaning, anxiety and depression are going up. We're hyper-connected through all this social media, and we have all these superficial connections, but we're lacking an interconnection. And that interconnection comes from the essence of things and a realizing of what they are. So I really feel like this circles back around to the meta crisis and the fact that we need this universal logic to bring spirit out of our souls and actualize it as spirit. And so this is sort of what the hunger strike is meant to do, is to show a nonviolent, peaceful way of protesting the current order to usher in this new kind of spirit. We're not necessarily aiming for an order, because an order is external to your own sense of truth. Right. Spirit comes from within, outside. So this is sort of why we want to create a new world spirit and do it urgently, very quickly, because the experts are saying we have about 2 years before we hit tipping points with AI and CRISPR, and we have a little bit more time with, the world war and then climate change, and mental health is already killing people. So I really feel like the hunger strikes is the most peaceful way to radically speed up the activism.
Perfect, perfect. And that's why I feel so blessed that we are united this way also. Yeah, people don't want to talk about the crises at hand, but we're facing them. And now we are being pressured because the grocery store bills are increasing and it's getting harder to feed families. And, that whole thing is becoming very stressful. Like everyone I know is working to make money to be able to just survive what's happening. And so, while people are discussing these issues and these crises, one of my go-tos is the Ho'oponopono, right? The clearing prayer to help us continue to clear this stuff. The Amazon is very close. We did tipping point on the Amazon. I mean, it's so close, right? Like we're a tipping point for the Amazon. If that tips, we are screwed when it comes to like how the weather patterns are going to work and everything else like that. And so, we did a thing last year already on the tipping point for the Amazon. So, okay. So the call to action is for people to get into their heart space and really focus on the heart space and the inner guidance system. What's the call to action for yourself? What injustice have you seen that needs to be remedied? What way can you move forward into the world as love and action and take on something? And it can be as simple as the energetics of a phone call and a conversation. We transformed the way children were woven into things by quiet conversations by campfires and planting seeds with each other, about these things that needed to transform. And they did transform, and it was quick. It was within a year or a year and a half we had this kinds of transformation. When you look back at the work we did with water and Grandfather Golden Eagle and Dr. Emoto in 2014 with the water, by 2017, we had serious water protectors, serious groups of people. So this is our call to action for, I think we should leave out the elderly and the children, because hunger striking requires a strong, healthy body. And we need to protect the innocent and the people who need to be cared for on this earth. And so I'd like to see, I'm going to take 3 days. If everybody, I pitched this idea to Mark yesterday about, okay, well, can I take over for you and do 3 days? And then someone take over for me and do 3 days. And then the next person take over for that person and do 3 days. And I think there's a way to log it all through this newworldspirit.com. And, like if you see that we need to transform the prison system, okay, okay, great. So we can start, you could start there with your phone calls, with your letters, with showing up to your city council meetings and state council meetings and even national council meetings. I think that we have to become very peacefully empowered with intellect and grace, and use those powers and move into the system. So my son was, many of my people know that my son was on the streets on fentanyl for years. And it was a lot of phone calls. It was a lot of building bridges between different community organizations, between healthcare, BC healthcare infrastructures, and street teams were developed. Like there weren't street teams. And then like 6 months after, I rattled the cages and put bugs in people's ears about the lack of bed care for people to be able to actually get off the drugs. So systematically I went through and found out what the problems were. And then I made the phone calls that had to go along with the problems to be solved. I found the different groups that worked together. I called them, I wrote to them, I had conversations with them, then I went there physically and met everybody, and so that's how that happened. But now BC has mostly enough beds for detoxing people. There's street teams who are active, taking on many, many cases every day. There's a lot of food programs, and then there's the mental health piece. We're still figuring that out. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a proponent of lighting the heart, and the heart lighting the body with the breath of love, and then using that as our go-to for our empowerment and our strength, and then moving as love and action out into the world. And this helps build an energy around us where people feel safe, they feel secure, they feel like they can also be empowered. Because the more of us who are empowered to make the change, the quicker it's going to be. We've got the issue with the children from the borders still to deal with. We have the issue of our food crisis right now with rise and living wage, right? Like people having a living wage. They're not increasing people's pay, but they're increasing the food costs, right? And so all of these things can be taken care of by us. They're not being taken care of by the men and women who just want to receive a bunch of money for continuing a system of oppression that is not allowing humanity to be free. So, hunger striking. It's a very severe, urgent thing to do. Okay. I'm no stranger to putting my life on the line for the things that needed to happen. I've given away everything I owned and gone on tour with my children, and many of my people know that. And so a hunger strike, so I'm going on one for 3 days. This was not very long. I know I'm not going to die from not eating for 3 days. I am also looking for that clean, water-bodied spirit for 3 days also, so I can get more guidance and intuition from source and be able to make a really great platform. We're crafting the new story for 2024. Patrick McCullen has taken myself and 3 other people on to train us in diplomatic peace process for the planet, going along with my United Religions Initiative position for North American Earth and Children Peace Ambassador, with my work with We the World and the Children and Youth, International Children's Month. And the story was that it was not enough. From the very beginning of the first peoples, they did not feel like they had enough. And now we have 8.5 billion people, so obviously we had enough for that first 1,500 peoples. And now we're at 8.5 peoples, and we still have enough. Like with everybody who has collected all the resources and, this 1% and everything else, and even that aside, even if we just did away with the 1%, and just looked at what we have between our good giving nature, our ability to continue to attract the people like us, we have enough to help feed, house, take care of. And the simple mathematics are, if one person takes care of one other person, every person will be cared for on Earth. That's basic, simple, easy math, right? So we take care of at least one person. So who's going to hunger strike, and what does it look like? So day 1, what do? You just kind of go through the process of, I've already been like, nope. Oh, because I'm noticing that immediately you would just pick something up and put it in your mouth if you see it and you want it, right? And it's around, and it's Christmas, right? So there's all kinds of stuff around. So I've just been like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's good. I don't need that. So, and onward I go. So that's probably day 1. I'm still going to be making meals for my children and anyone else who stops by, and I'm not going to be eating it in solidarity with you. So, and you said what happens like day 2, day 3. Tell me about the last one you did. How about that? So this is the 3rd hunger strike, right?
It is in this series. I did one about 2.5 years ago, but technically we need to do something more serious than just one-off hunger strikes. It needs to be a continuous narrative.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on 12 in the next year, but there's actually 14, but the last two are quite serious and I can't go on them. So there's more about that, but this is just the beginning. And yes, in terms of these 14, I'm on number 4. It's called the grade 4 hunger strike. Each hunger strike has a grade of difficulty, and they become more difficult the longer they go on. So the more that the hunger strikes aren't engaged with, the more severe they become. So in the beginning, they're easier and easier to ignore actually by politicians or those in power. But then as they become more severe, it shows the commitment that somebody's resolved to do something that they think is real. And it will start a conversation. And that conversation will happen with language. And what I hope to do is that by the time they start becoming serious, we have a movement launched where the number one thing you can do is actually realize who you really are as this universal essence, because then you can start to recognize it in others and pull the spirit out of them. And it's something as simple as the words you use, right? So what I want to show people is that this universal logic is not just this intellectual logic that we have in science and modern society. That kind of logic is actually approximating what truth is. Real universal logic is intuitive as well as intellectual. It actually harmonizes 200 contradictions in the way we think, these dualities, these, if you're Buddhist, koans, that rip apart your thinking of the truth and the organism of true life. So when you operate in dualistic consciousness or dichotomies, you're in oppositional consciousness. You have an other that's not you. And there's 200 of these that we think are plaguing us internationally, that's preventing or choking off this kind of power of the word. So the first thing is, sounds abstract, but we're going to be teaching these courses on this universal logic to turn it into this universal language that turns into this universal spirit. And you have to be very precise with the way you speak with these power words, these spiritual words, so that you can harmonize and heal the people you come across that might be in these 200 dualisms, these oppositions. So that's number one. That's the thing we have not done in thousands of years. You know, the ancient Vedas, the Vedic principles, you know, Buddha, Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, all these divine masters were doing this. So we're not technically doing anything new because the absolute is always here. We're just actualizing it in a new form that the power holders of our age can understand. And that form is science. We're going to create an infinite kind of science to bridge art, religion, and science and philosophy, male, female, and everything between and beyond, capitalism, socialism, and communism. These are just 3 of the largest dichotomies or oppositions that's causing a lot of the poly crisis. So diplomacy, like you said earlier, you know, you can try and talk out these problems and get to resolutions or reconciliations. But then again, if you don't have a way to harmonize these oppositions with your words, you're not going to get to meaningful solutions. They're always going to be surface level, and they're not going to have that inner connection that we talked about in the meaning crisis, the meta crisis. We have a lot of external connection, material connection, but what we need is a higher level of universal diplomacy. So that's sort of the number one thing to do, is knowledge is power, wisdom is power. Then if you want to actualize, if you want to get into the world with this political kind of like get your body involved, you can start doing these hunger strikes. And you can do any grade. You can follow me if you are healthy. If you don't have a healthy relationship with food, probably not advisable. If you are a child, probably not advisable. If you're elderly, probably not advisable. So you can do symbolic gestures for breastfeeding mothers, for pregnant mothers who shouldn't stop eating. You can do a blessing. You can do, you can kind of look over us who are on the hunger strike, because you're ushering in new life into the sort of mess that we're in. But there's a lot of hope that we can solve it. I really feel like this new piece of information, this universal logic, will get us into new territory. So if you want to follow me, you can do the grade 1s, which are 3-day hunger strikes, which is what you're doing, Heidi. I'm so impressed by you so quickly learning this and having the conviction to realize that it does have a lot of potential.
You
Then
gave me
there's
the
the week
words.
long.
You gave me the words for everything that I know inside
Mhm.
intrinsically, right? That comes from within. And I know that there are going to be people in our networks who also feel the same way, that you're putting language to what we already inherently know. A lot of people
Mhm.
are very advanced on the awakening journey, on the journey of becoming like their higher power, walking around down here. And then there's people who have no
Right.
idea about it. And so the mother, like the mother blessing, like the blessing, or maybe you're a musician and you want to take on a challenge of new world spirit, and you like, I'm going to continue on with this. I was thinking I would play music for like a number of days. I haven't come up with the days, but every day I'll go live in the spirit of love, to continue to support and uplift while you're continuing to do this hunger strike, which I did try to talk him out of it, you guys, and he would not. So, because I'm a radical nurturer and I don't want anybody to come into harm, and I can't let anything die. So this is very challenging for me, being Mark's friend and his supporter in love and action with all of this. So this is not easy for me, and I wanted to introduce y'all to Mark while he's still coherent and can explain to everyone what's happening in the world. I appreciate his radical love and action, of course, and I want everyone to support him, which is why I brought him on here to introduce to you the concept of radical love and action. This is what it looks like: radical love and action. And you can pick up a phone and you can write a letter and you can pray and get yourself excited and inspired to move forward in the things that you want to uplift, inspire, ignite, save, nurture, respect, care in your life, in your family's life, in your community's life, in the world life. Don't be afraid to go into places you've never been. International laws, courts, and laws. I mean, all you got to do is start using your voice. Your community places, bye bye with the fear, and just grasp onto that empowerment, that inner voice that's like egging you on to do something you've always wanted to do, to help people and to make things happen for yourselves and others, because no one's saving us, right? We are saving each other and ourselves by being our love in action. And if you believe in the power of love, then this is it. This is the face of love calling you out and saying, hey, it's happening, it's time, let's get a move on, and let's see what we can do collectively together, which we know we can. We have all
Mhm.
found each other now, and more people are going to find us, and they're going to find this broadcast. Please share it everywhere you can so people can start to get an understanding. um, Mark is live on doing Instagram. It's New World Spirit, hashtag New World Spirit. Instagram, TikTok is all set up. I think I'm helping him dial in all his socials, and so is another amazing individual from Canada named Mike. So just hats off to that. And then there's a whole team of people who've been working with Mark for years. I've had the honor of meeting Lillian, who was on the hunger strike with him the last time, and she was super sweet. And also, it's time, right? Like, it's not going to solve itself. We are the solution, and we are the ones we have been waiting for, and we can go ahead and go to any festival we want and dress up like that. However, it's literally going to be that love that we have inside of ourselves, moving out into the systems and saying, hey, I'm sorry, but here's a way that this could go that would be better. How about this? Take this white paper. How about this plan? Take this plan. Look, my friends and I crafted this plan. Let's get this plan out into the world. Take it into the system that it needs to go into. Is it the education system, the healthcare system, the legal system, the humanitarian
Mhm.
system? Which ways can we move out into the systems and make this happen? So I'm excited for this next year. 2024 is going to be a great year. And we are One Love Rising, and we are New World Spirit, and we are finding each other. And, Mark is on this thing. So send him your love, please. And what's it going to take for you to not do this hunger strike? What do you, what's the end game? Like, what do you want to see happen so that You don't have to keep doing this. Is it possible that this taking 3 days a person and doing maybe the Guinness Book of World Records longest unity hunger strike ever in history, like, would that suffice? You know, if we have, how many people do we need registered, and how many people do we need to see moving in this way? The biggest issue I have is that I see radical acts of protesting in really good ways for really good things, and nothing changes because of it, right? Like in the past, nothing changed. Like we saw all the children rise up in 2019. They got into the UN, they got into presidential offices, and still they didn't, you know, speed up the goals to eradicate the things that are ruining the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing changed, even though they got so high. So I'm confident the change is coming from the people. What do you need to see in order for you to be like, okay, I don't have to hunger strike anymore. There's enough of us, and we can all just be leaders in this new world spirit and do what we came here to do. So talk to me.
We need to solve 200 contradictions, starting roughly with probably 3 million people to reach the critical mass potential of 8 billion people, which is roughly 264 million of us. And if you get that many people understanding how to communicate from the essence with those power words, then whatever you build, whatever you help us build in this new world spirit, it'll be on solid ground or metaphysically concrete meaning, the truth of things. When you emanate from that, everything you create is ideal. It becomes glorified. It's truth. It's in its best self. Anything else that we build that does not have that at the core will be like building a sandcastle on quicksand. And that's what's been happening for the last few thousand years, is we have this sort of logic and spirit in what's called the mode of being, the mode of immediacy, which is what you embody, Heidi. That's why I can recognize it in you. Now we're ready for something that is communicatable. We're sharing this soulfulness in a more direct way, in alignment with our free will, with our actual volition. And so I really feel like there's all these amazing solutions, but really we need to create a new narrative called the universal story of being, which has these 200 conversation starters in them. And then starting this and building all of our diplomacies, all of our universities, all of our education systems, all of our food systems, every area of society, when it's embraced by this foundation, this kind of concrete, universal, intuitive thinking, feeling logic, this comprehensiveness, this is the true solution that will get us to an alignment solution with artificial intelligence. It'll get us to a place where when we edit ourselves with genetic editing, we do it wisely or maybe not at all. We solve these conflicts, these wars with that interconnection and inner diplomacy. We solve the climate crisis by realizing that the accumulation of possessions, that constant consumerism, is a superficial satisfaction. There's a deeper universal satisfaction, which is the connection with each other, which solves the final problem, which is that we realize who we are in each other and develop this kind of intimate love, this agape, this universality, and that will make us feel like we belong. No one gets left behind. And then we all work together at our highest potential, which creates flow states that makes us work together on a much higher level. So this is sort of the solution to me. Very simple sounding at first, but learning this universal story of being who we are in this explicit way through an infinitude of expressions, taste, touch, colors, arts, I think is how we can bring an infinite amount of creativity to a oneness, an absolute truth of who we are, and still feel like we're free and creative to be who we are, despite having this one. So yes, this can be manifested through hunger strikes, but like you said, there's actually 11 life areas where if you can't do hunger strikes, you can take other challenges like exercise challenges, meditation challenges, academic challenges, reading holy text challenges, many other challenges to start healing what is happening to us and creating space and energy for you to be a part of New World Spirit, bring your talents and learn this kind of new way of being and thinking that I think is the true solution.
Okay, so the 200 and all of that, does it live somewhere? Is it on the website? Do you have it on there? Yeah.
We're putting it online. Yes. The tricky thing about it is that you have to meet people where they are. So even though there's 200 conversation starters, there's around 137 different sensuous modes of communicating it. So we need to find leaders who are experts in those languages, those finite languages, to recognize these universals in them. And so we are trying to launch this very large new kind of education. And it is quite large, but it is not yet on the website, but we are teaching it behind the scenes, one person sort of at a time or in small groups to test out the best way to do this. But it is going to ramp up quite quickly once we do figure out how to bring it into maybe a sort of translation, a conceptual translation with artificial intelligence. So this is why we need to get people sort of on board who have that kind of leadership potential and understand the universals already, even if intuitively, they can start to pick it up in the mode of spirit or thinking, so that they can then translate it into all these different modes to reach everyone where they are, every culture, every language, every way of being, because this is universal logic. It is everywhere. It is in everything that's true. And anything that follows this order will be aligned with truth, including an artificial intelligence, including children, adolescents, teenagers, seniors, any mode or any expression. So yes, we are bringing it to the people as fast as we can, but we sort of need those leaders on board before we reach critical mass so that we can sort of channel this immense potential that it is in the human spirit. It is within us. We just have to embrace it, like you said. We have to bring it out. So I think we have a really great way to sort of ramp that up. Starting with signing up with the newsletter that's on the website. There's a little newsletter that you can sign up for, and then you can kind of get attached to the spirit mission. We call it the smashing room for trauma release, and then it kind of goes into the curriculum of absolute spirit, and then you can get into these 64 wisdom teams that cover all of humanity. So if you're a singer, you're a diplomat, you're whatever your talents are, whatever you feel called to do, because this is the true universal, everyone belongs. And we found a way to do that in these teams. So I think the first step is to learn how to perform this universal movement of wisdom, which is called sublation, a very unfamiliar term, but that's the point. This is sort of
it's like a weaving. Sublation is
it
like
is.
a weaving.
It's like a weaving, and it's an integrating. It's anybody who embodies truth, any of the gurus right now who are embodying this logic through art or religion, they're already doing this. It's just the
Yeah, and
communication
there's
of it.
millions. There are millions of people doing this. This is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I think that once we all figure out, like, just the unity, I think bottom line, it's uniting as love and action and being able to see each other. So what I'm going to do to support Mark and New World Spirit and to support you is for International Children's Month with Patrick being a mentor for me. And then of course working with the children, Raheen and Abba, and all the different awesome people that we work with. Anyway, we're going to craft the new story, and the story is a story of enough. There is enough, but there is enough. The book of enough.
Of
Um,
abundance.
yes, and that I'm going to go ahead and break it down into easily digestible components and action steps for people. We'll look at the language, some of the different language, the universal language, for universal reason and logic and love. And I think that we will just cultivate this amazing movement. Like the movement's here, it's been going on, it's ongoing, and now it's just a matter of us being able to see each other and to see the projects that we're doing and how we're moving into the world. So I would really like to support everybody in going here. We're going to wrap this up because I don't want it to take too long. We want as many people to want to. Let me see here. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show everybody really quick the. Okay.
Technology.
Oh, sorry. okay, so here's the website, and right here, join the movement. As you all know, I founded a United Earth with some people. I'm a part of Unity Earth, We the World, International Children's Month. And I appreciate all the work everyone is doing. I feel that joining the New World Spirit, um, and if you could please take on part of the hunger strike. So I want to track it, and if you can input yourself in here for whatever it is you want to talk to Mark about, or the movement, there's a team of people who are coming together to help facilitate all of this. So name, email, tell us about your core belief or your cause, and what you're on about, and then how long you plan on doing the hunger strike. Maybe you can even drop the dates in here, like I'm going to go 3 days. So today, tomorrow, and the next day, the following day, I'll break it in the morning. Um, so I want to put all that in there. Then I wanted to help make, or someone will help make a spreadsheet about, the different times of people, where they were in the world, what their cause was for, and all that jazz, and then just submit it in here. I think that that'll be super good. And then, yeah, this is it. It says it right here. So it's just about uniting and coming together in the spirit of love and action. And there's a lot more here that I'm learning about. But I wanted to introduce you to Mark so you understood what was happening. And I think that he deserves our support, and people joining forces as well to make this. I think an ongoing hunger strike will do it. If humanity takes on a hunger strike, and we do passing the baton like a relay race, and so I know someone will take up after I'm done. I'm going to speak with them today. I'm sure they'll sign up for 3 days, and then I'm sure they have somebody who will sign up for 3 days, and on and on and on. And then that way, we're going to be doing press releases and social media campaigns for creating the new story and New World Spirit, and let's just do it, right? Like there's nothing stopping us but us. There's nothing stopping you but you. So let's just grow for it. And I think it's fun and exciting and inspiring, and gives us something to believe in and move forward with. So yay. Anything you'd like to say in closing?
Yes, you are amazing. You are a Wonder Woman. I feel blessed to meet you. I feel like this is going in the right direction. You have the insight and the way. So thank you for jumping on board. Whoever comes next, thank you in advance. It's fun in the beginning, and then it's a real test of willpower after. It's an incredibly self-grounding process. It brings you in touch with yourself. So not only is it a political action to say that we're serious and we believe in a new solution, but it actually, at least if you do it for 3 days, it's healthy for your body and mind.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
meditative. It gets rid of all the distractions. It exercises your self-will, so you can get in touch with that universal side of yourself, the true free will. And then your body actually cleanses itself and detoxes. So for the shorter ones, it's great. The other ones are a little bit more to push the narrative. But anybody who wants to jump on board, thank you in advance. Thank you, Heidi, for being so wonderful. It truly is a blessing to me. And maybe when I'm done the hunger strike, I'll have a little bit more energy. But that won't be for 3 weeks. So we have a little bit of time to start this. I know it's hard for you
I'll
to
keep
take
you
on,
guys
but
posted. I am just beside myself with this whole thing. So, um, let's do what we can do so that we can see that we are being the solution. Right? I want us to see each other. And Mark, you're a total blessing, and I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you, and I love you, and I want you to have all the support in the world, for your good heart. Friends, this is about love. This is about humanitarian love, care, and respect. This is about us taking responsibility for where we are at, um, and about us moving forward as best as we can, each one of us. And so I'm calling you out. We're moving into the new year. What are you going to do? Who are you going to become? What are you going to save? What are you going to work through? What are you going to support and help transcend through this pain and suffering into something that's really good for our present and future generations and for yourself and for your families? So, Mark, God bless you and all the love and light to you. And I'm with you. And I'll be doing more challenges online. You're going to be doing more stuff online. So get on board, follow the journey, start injecting yourself. Go ahead, use New World Spirit when you're playing your music, when you're doing your activism at the White House, when you're going to different places. If you're going to be moving into a community meeting or something like that, like hashtag it up so that we can start to track the numbers and we can track each other. I think that that's the thing, is being able to track each other. And I'll be watching for everyone and everything about what's going on. If you want to submit something for International Children's Month, for creating a new story, you want to work together as a group, you can reach out to me also. I'll drop all of the links and everything in the Facebook Live stuff, and we'll see each other again soon. I might even ask Mark to come back on again in like a week and just check in with him and see how he is and what's happening like that. I think tracking him will make it worth his time, right? And then our support in solidarity for the humanitarian in us all, the love of the human of us all, like, okay. Thank you. And God bless every single person that hears this call and takes up the banner as love in action. We've got this. And I feel the momentum growing, and I think that it's going to do really, really wonderful things. So watch for that too, because you're going to start to see amazing things happen. January is already stockpiled from some of our other people who've been working hard on the back end. So here we grow. Mark?
Let's end on a point of your wisdom. I love you too. Breathe in the love, breathe out the love. Breathe in the love, breathe out the love. Thank you so much, Heidi. Yeah. I'm inspired. Let's see what happens.
All right, here we
go. Good luck, everybody.
Let's do it.